This is the plaintiff, John Scannell. He says he has an entertainment company and the defendant, his former DJ, stole 2 long-standing accounts from him. They worked out a deal where the defendant would pay him a commission every time he got hired by one of those companies, and at first the defendant paid him. He continues doing gigs for those companies, but has stopped paying the agreed-upon commission, and that's not fair. He's suing for $4,900, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Darren Regini. He says he didn't steal anyone from anybody. What the plaintiff fails to tell you is he was fired from those 2 companies, and the owners approached him and hired him. He does admit he was bamboozled into paying the plaintiff a commission for the first month, but then smartened up, stopped, and owes him nothing. He's accused of letting the music die.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
And welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says the defendant, a former DJ employee, stole 2 clients right out from under him. But the defendant says it was all in the up and up. It's the case of Can't Stop the Music.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay. John Scannell, you've asked us not to mention your company name, and we'll respect that. You are suing Darren Regini, who used to work for you, $4,900 for lost commissions between January of 2010 and June of 2012. Okay,
Right.
What happened?
The entertainment company that I own, I opened up in January of 1992. Him and I met in the end of 2009.
What is your entertainment company?
We get hired to do, for instance, high schools, halls, hotels. We have the
DJing?
Yes.
Okay.
And I hired him.
So you hired him when?
Around end of 2009. I actually have my 2009 calendar.
Okay,
here.
I don't need to see that. What I'd like to see is there any paperwork between you 2 on your employment contract with him?
Yes.
Is there a contract between you 2 in 2009, yes or no? Because everything I'm looking at is dated in 10.
No.
Okay, so there's no employment contract in 2009?
No.
All right, so had you ever used him in 2009?
Yes.
Okay, so there was no employment contract, you would just pay him when you used him?
Right.
Okay, what equipment was he using when you used him?
The hookup that I owned.
Okay, and then what happened?
Well, he had hoped to own his gear, his own gear, and be hooked up with us, and I would hire him out. So what I did, the copy that's up there, is I let him have $1,800 worth of a hookup, and he handed me $100 here, $100 there, until he owned it.
Okay, and did he pay off that $1,800 of equipment?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so that's this contract here.
Yeah.
And that contract here, you signed it, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right, and in that contract, it says, Darren agrees at no point to self-employ himself and take any accounts of your entertainment production during or after employment by your entertainment production company.
Right.
And that he may start his own business, but must be separate and not interfere with your entertainment production company for 24 months after separation of employment from your entertainment production company. Okay, what happens?
The instant that he owned his hookup, that's when all the headaches hit.
Meaning what? What did he do?
Well, he was attempting, I had him in Gilos, which is on there, which was approximately July, and he got hired there because the owner there was not happy that I was having helpers in there, and what they ultimately was out for was to have whoever there every week.
Okay, so stop. So what happened is that the bar decided not to use your company anymore because they wanted him and only him there.
Right.
So he stole your client.
Right.
Okay, but now, when that happens, what was your employment contract with that client?
I didn't.
You didn't have a contract with them.
Right.
They could fire you at will. So they did.
Right.
They stopped doing business with you and they hired him.
Right.
But he's supposed to have said no.
Right.
Okay, and he didn't.
Right.
So what do you do?
I then told him, I said, look, we have this, okay? I want you to
The non-compete
hold
clause.
this, and you owe me until the termination of
what?
that, of the contract.
Or what if they fire him? And then what happens, though? He ends up losing that job.
He didn't head to the gig.
Okay.
So,
but here's what happens. It's now in July, right?
Yep.
And he's got the gig. And you don't really mind. I mean, you mind that he's competing with you, but you don't mind if you're still taking a cut. All right. And then what happens?
He actually he came to the table and handed me what he owed me.
Okay.
And
what was what he owed you? That's the commission, the part that you would have made either way,
right,
through either theory. And that part is how much of his night?
Well, Gilos paid us when I was there $125, but he claimed that he ended up with higher money, that they upped him to $150. So what we talked over is that he would get $100 and I would end up with the other half.
And that would happen. He's hired what, once a week?
Yep.
Okay, so that would happen every week. You would get $50.
Right.
And that happened until when?
He paid me until 12/18 of 10.
Right, and then how soon after that do you send what you've termed in your complaint as a cease and desist letter?
Okay, that went out to him on January the 10th. I had that out to him.
Okay, and so a month later, more or less, you send out a cease and desist letter. Let me see the letter. And what do you tell him to do?
I asked him to halt all his actions.
And then what did he do? Halt him?
From the info that I heard, the clubs told me that he didn't head to the gigs.
When?
He didn't
After
call
your cease
them.
and desist letter?
Yeah.
Okay, so you tell him to cease and desist, and you're angry he ceased and desisted.
No, I was hoping that he would halt what he's up to, but contact me
Cease
so
and desist
I
what
can
you're
get
up
hold
to.
of them.
Okay, what you wanted him to do was not cease and desist. You wanted him to pay you.
Well, hopefully.
Okay, what's going on? Tell me your perspective on all this.
I'm not real smart when it comes to business law, and I know ignorance of the law is no excuse by all means, okay? But I developed the attitude after talking to a couple of other personal friends of mine that are DJs that when somebody's fired and there's no company contract between like the plaintiff and this establishment, then there's really no justifiable account.
Okay, that's not accurate, and I'm going to tell you what. Put your hand down. Let me tell you why it's not accurate.
Okay.
Because the essence, always, of stealing a client is the client leaves him and goes to you.
Okay.
All right? And so if that client has a right to do that or doesn't have a right to do that, that's between him and that bar. But your worries are between you and him, not between him and that bar. That bar has a right to do whatever they want because both he and the bar are both understand that there's nothing binding between him and the bar. The person who doesn't have a right to do whatever he wants is you because you have a non-compete for 24 months after you stop working with him. See, when you sign this, there are good things about this and bad things about this. The good thing is you're breaking into the business, you have no equipment, you're learning, he's got the contacts, he's got the gigs, you're breaking in and it worked out well. Are you still DJing?
I am.
Yeah. So look at that, he gave you your start. So this is good. But the bad thing about signing this contract is that there's a non-compete clause. And that means you're not going to go after his clients. And you did. Whether you went after it or they came after you, you can't do business with his clients. You can't end up with his clients. You can't interfere with his clients for 24 months after separation of employment. So in order to not run afoul of this, you didn't have to take that gig and pay him. You could have just said, can't do it, Gills, or whatever that bar was. Can't do it, love to do it, but can't do it. I'll call you in 2 years. And then walk off and go make $150 in a different bar and don't pay him a cent. But if you wanted that gig, then you had to pay him, you had to do something because you're competing with him. So the something you guys agreed on doing was paying $50 every time you had the gig. And then you stopped doing it. But then you didn't have the gig anymore because you stopped doing it. And you stopped doing it, first you stopped paying him, and then you stopped the gig. What happened with the gig? You got the cease and desist letter?
I knew the cease and desist order was coming out and was like, okay, enough is enough. I know where this is going to go and don't want to play with any more fire than I already have played with, so to speak.
Okay. The question becomes this. You sent him a cease and desist letter. Now you're angry that he ceased and desisted and stopped going. But why would you then be entitled to monies when he's no longer doing it?
In the contract on page 2, I indicated on there that if he gets hired anywhere, he has to call me anywhere. And he didn't call me for anything.
Wait a minute.
And
hold on. What contract are you referring to? The one that's signed in February?
No.
Or one that you had him signed when he quit?
Right.
It says no compete contract. And this is a contract you had him sign when he was quitting.
Right.
And what it says is that he's still working for you?
Right.
Okay, everybody stop talking for a second. If the DJ employs themselves, they must directly contact your company 72 hours before a booking they made, so our company...
It was hacked off. I know.
So our company what? That's your whole case that you're telling me now. Right. And so our company what?
Right.
Wait, that's what you're relying on. Finish the thought. Even if you didn't finish it in a contract that he signed, what was it you intended to say?
So if you have these no-compete clauses where you say you're not going to work anywhere for the next 3 years, is that enforceable, do you think?
I don't know. It's up to them.
Well, no, it's not up to them. Ultimately, it's up to a judge. But is it enforceable to have that clause where you can't go anywhere?
I think it should be.
Why?
Because you signed the contract.
But it prevents you from earning a living, doesn't it? What do you think?
I think people change their minds all the time. You shouldn't be tied into one thing.
You shouldn't be tied.
No.
So you don't think they're enforceable?
No, you should have your free will and freedom.
Okay, you know what? Those are two good points of view. Very different. We'll find out going inside the courtroom.
What I was intending on that is that he needed to contact me, and I was going to handle it. As he told you.
And you want me to bind him to something you didn't say? Look, let's put all this stuff to a side, and let's talk about what actually happened here. You have a certain cafe. That cafe decides to dump you and hire him. He decides that it's in his best interest to work it out with you because he really can't, since you have a non-compete clause, take that business since it started off as your business when he got it. So you work out a deal, everything's fine, then he reneges on the deal. That is accurate. He stopped paying you. Then when he stops paying you, you have the boneheaded move of sending him a cease and desist order, which he apparently takes very literally. Okay, and then he ceases and desists. He stops working there. So now that gig is over. I agree with you. It appears that based on what you guys have worked out, while he's working there, he has to pay you. But then there are apparently how many weeks between the time that you stop showing up and the time, how many weeks did you not pay him his $50? That's what I'm asking. Before you just stop showing up at the place.
It was a 30-day period, so it was 4 shows.
4 shows that you didn't pay him his $50.
Correct.
And that means that you would be entitled to $200. But after that, if he decides to quit or they decide to quit him, you're not entitled to anything. And you can't look at the last sentence of this crazy contract that you signed when you were quitting, saying that you're his slave for the next I don't know what. I don't know why you're signing these things. That doesn't finish a thought and tell me, Judge, you have to hold him to the thought that I had in my head at the time, which I can make up at any time because it's not in writing. That's not going to work. All right. But you do owe him the $200 from that month that you did work, not lost commission until 2012. $200, verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Let's see what the defendant has to say coming out of this case. The plaintiff has walked out with $200 here so far. What's your feeling?
I'm sad it had to come to this. I mean, I have no hard feelings against the plaintiff, and unfortunately, it came down to what it came down to, and I respect the judge's decision.
What are you signing all those contracts with the guy for, especially ones that don't even have finished thoughts in them?
Yeah, evidently I can't finish reading a sentence, otherwise I would have picked up on that.
Let's hear the DJ voice that gets the crowd so excited.
Oh, it's the style of music. It's not my voice, trust me.
Okay.
Trust me, it ain't the voice.
All right. Okay, right around the corner right there.
Thanks.
All right, so come on in here and step in here. You sue for $4,900, and is $200 satisfying?
Absolutely not.
What's your feeling here?
Well, you know what? I headed into this hoping that he'd be an honorable guy, and he isn't. And, he did his own thing. And
well, it seems like you got what you were entitled to. And, maybe he didn't rip you off as much as you think he did.
Well, that's how it ended up here, but I'm not happy about it.
What about finishing your thoughts and your contracts?
I'm just going to... Yeah, well, I'm going to be a lot more hesitant with who I hire and have out there. So,
all right.
Okay.
Harvey?
Okay, so these no-compete clauses, in many states, they're not enforceable because courts say they're just too onerous. They prevent people from earning a living. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.